before we go into your plans for the future and how you're seeing the music industry change, and we touched on that before the break, I want to ask you what your biggest concern is right now and where you think the biggest risk is for the music industry.
Well, obviously, like we're here to talk about business, but the biggest concern is just for the world. I still live in New York City, and they're losing upwards of 1,000 people a day to this, which is a really horrible thing. So I think we can't really. I find it hard to be too optimistic without at least acknowledging that situation. So obviously, I send out a lot of good thoughts and energy to the world to heal as fast as possible. But I guess for our industry, it was kind of frightening to see just how quickly so many people were, I guess, knocked on their ass ultimately, especially coming out of all the fundraising that was done for the bushfires. And I know this has been discussed before, but the crew and the artists and the venues and everyone would put all this work into raising all this money for bushfire relief, thinking, this is great, we're doing our part, and then we can go and tour for the rest of the year, and because things will just be normal again, right? And who would have thought this would happen? So it's horrible to see. I believe I've worked incredibly hard to get myself into the position that I'm in, and I want to be able to help as much as possible. But for me at this time, as a person that employs 60 odd people, I kind of immediately had to look at my own business as my version of charity, if that makes sense.
Well, you've got to,
and like I said, we did make some changes.
You've got to continue to support the staff you're employing.
Yeah, that's right. And we did. In some parts of the business, we did make some redundancies, very minimal, but we did. And that was a really hard thing to do. But like I mentioned, I immediately stopped paying myself. I tried to set the business up to be as strong as possible for as long as possible, and put ourselves in a position where we just weren't spending money that we couldn't justify spending, because some people are talking about, we'll be back doing gigs in September and October, and maybe we will be, and obviously I hope that we are, but in uncertain times we need to be very, very careful, especially same as you, we're both independent operators. Not to say it's too different for the corporates, but they do have access to different types of funding than just normal people that are literally dipping into their bank account. But yeah, I guess I applaud what Support Act is doing. I also applaud what there's a lot of really intelligent behind the scenes work being done by key people in our industry, especially engaging with government to sort of talk about. I think one thing that's could work in our favor, but sometimes doesn't, is obviously Australia's so mad for sport, and being from Melbourne, the MCG, which is 15-minute walk from my house, they put 80,000 people in there nearly every week with blink of an eye. People are going to want that to come back as soon as possible. We need to make sure that music isn't left out in the cold, because if there's 80,000 people watching Collingwood Carlton, there should be 750 people at the corner hotel. So I know there's some really, really smart people behind the scenes working on that. So that's...
Sorry, can I just unpack that? How can we be left behind? What would be different, which would not allow 750 people to go to the corner and 80,000 at Collingwood like it was before?
I think that if we talk about staged, openings of things, it's just making sure we're part of the conversation. As an industry, I think that we've been getting better and better at engaging government. I think that people representing our industry are getting more and more, better relationships and just more of a voice. We see it every election. There's more of a policy around music that is sort of trying to bring voters on board. So I just saying that we're engaging government to ensure that people are to ensure they're understanding the impact that this has had on our industry. And I think, once the JobKeeper thing gets finalized, they'll probably look at it and say, wow, there's a lot of people from that industry sitting on this JobKeeper program. So I'm just applauding the people behind the scenes that are doing the work to lobby government to educate them on just how important our industry is.